Welcome to TV3. I'm TV3, your host, and on this week's episode, it's all about Gundam, specifically all the latest and greatest announcements from the Shizuoka Hobby Show. As always, if you want to introduce a feature installment of TV3, you can always do so by sending in your intro to my email address over at type3@gmail.com. Now, before we get started, I know I have this huge distracting thing on my face, so I'll just tell you what that's all about. Shortly after recording last week's episode, I crashed my bicycle. Don't worry, the bike is okay. In fact, it's better than okay, because I just upgraded and installed a couple new parts. However, my face has seen better days. I did get 6 stitches across my cheek, and hopefully I'll be able to take this bandage off pretty soon. Alright, so the news section is dominated by Gundam news, but I'm not going to go in and pick out and cover all the nitty and gritty details from the show. I'm just going to highlight the announcements that I found to be personally interesting. And first up, it's the biggest announcement of the show, and I mean that by size, and that is a new Mega Scale Gundam. They have announced the 1/48 scale Unicorn Gundam in Destroy mode, and it's exactly what you think it is, a giant Unicorn Gundam. It can't transform, but it is large, and considering that most of the fan base likes the Unicorn Gundam in Destroy mode, I suppose it's the smart way to go. It'll serve as a great display piece. I think this is a cool thing. It's something that interests me. As much as I love my perfect grade Unicorn, if I could get a bigger one, I think I'd be down for that. And with a retail price of about 10,000 yen, it's not going to be too expensive to pick up. It will probably be very, very expensive to ship, but we'll see what happens when the time comes. Speaking of Unicorn, I suppose the more important Unicorn announcement is the one that's a little bit smaller, and we have finally some details and photos and pictures of the real grade Unicorn Gundam. Now, this thing looks pretty intense. They are advertising it under their new Gunpla Evolution project, and with that, I believe Bandai has stated that this is going to be the sturdiest real grade release to date. Now, I know what you're thinking, how are they going to make the most complicated transforming Gundam inside of the most fragile Gundam grade? Well, word has it that this kit can't actually transform. In fact, it's a parts former. Now, I don't know if there's any confirmed details on that, but that is the word that's going around, and I would probably believe it. I mean, how else are you going to make this kit sturdy? Now, I want to believe that it's not entirely a parts former and that there are going to be some transforming sections to it. I'm not too sure, but just looking at these photos, I believe if you look hard enough, you'll be able to tell that yes, there's no way that this thing, especially somewhere like the head, there's no way it can fully transform, which is a bit of a shame, but I mean, I think a lot of us, to a lot of us, that's not really a big surprise. Regardless, I think this is still a very exciting real grade. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's coming out this August, and I look forward to seeing it. Moving along, we're into the Master Grade news, and this next one coming up is probably the one that's got me the excited most. It's not a new announcement, it is the Double Zeta Gundam Verka. It's just now we have some prototype pictures, and it looks real glorious. It looks awesome. Truthfully, I am more excited for this because I can't wait till we get the, hopefully, Tryon 3 reuse of this kit, because I look at the silhouette of this prototype and I can just see all the modifications needed to make it into a Tryon 3, and that excites me. Nevertheless, I'm still going to pick up the Double Zeta Gundam Verka. It's been a while since I've picked up a Verka kit. I don't have any of the recent ones, and I'm curious to see how well the most recent iteration of this kit turns out. This seems to be like the big Master Grade release of the year. I don't know if there's anything else announced or planned that is going to top this, but I think it's a worthy kit to hold that title. I mean, I'm pumped for it. I hope you guys are. I'm definitely going to get one, and I'm excited. The other Master Grade they announced was a P Bandai exclusive, and that is the Master Grade 00 XN Riser, and this looks ridiculously stupid. I think this is just complete overkill and something that is unnecessary. That backpack is dumb. Now, I'm not a big fan of the 00 Riser as it stands, and this backpack is not doing it any favors. It just looks completely stupid and ridiculous. Don't support this garbage and nonsense. It's awful. The other one that I saw that kind of piqued my interest was the Casville Gundam based on the MG 3.0. Now, I like it because it's red. However, it's based on the 3.0, when I would rather have this color scheme on the Origin Gundam body. So as much as I would like to get this, I'm gonna hold out. But hey, I think it's still a really cool colorway. If you don't have the 3.0 yet, this is probably the one I would say go to for the most, just because it's a red version of the Gundam, and that's always really cool. Then they showed off the next entry in the Reborn 100 scale, and it is the AMX 103 Hamma, and this thing looks totally rad. I cannot believe how awesome this looks between the colors and just the way that the design of the kit has turned out. I think it looks real cool. I was not really pumped for this when this was rumored to be the next release, but seeing it here in pictures, I think it looks real cool. I don't really have much else to say on it other than that I think the design is super interesting, and I look forward to seeing how this one turns out in hand. Next up is the high-resolution Wing Gundam Zero. Now, this one took me aback because I'm not really the biggest fan of the Wing Gundam Zero EW or the one with the angel wings. However, I love the aesthetic changes they've done with the high-resolution model. It looks nothing like the anime version. It looks nothing like the model kits. It just looks like a hyper-stylized, beefier, chunkier version of the kit or of the Gundam, and I think it looks great. I kind of really want this. I love the idea of high-resolution model kits, like something you could just build straight out of the box, and having this awesome model kit you could just put on display straight away, and it comes with these cool design touches that are exclusive to the high resolution releases. Yeah, this is definitely something I'm way more interested in than I thought it would be, and I think it's one of the best looking Gundams I've seen in a while. Alright, we've gotten to the most important part of the Gundam announcement, and that is Build Fighters announcements. And what we got were some details on the upcoming OVA. It's going to take place 3 years after Season 1 of Build Fighters and focus on the original cast. I'm super pumped for it. I believe the subtitle is called GM's Counterattack. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it's going to be. And with it, we got a couple announcements. We got the high-grade Build Fighter GM, or GM, or Jam, or Jim, however you want to pronounce it. I gotta say, this is the coolest I've ever thought that a GM has looked. I'm not the biggest fan of these things, but the way they've done the proportions on this kit, in fact, it looks super robot-y to me, just the way they've done the proportions and such, and I think that's why I like it so much. But the other kit they announced, it doesn't have a name, but it seems to be the precursor, or I suppose we can call it the prototype to the Build Burning Gundam. In fact, I think it looks better than the Build Burning Gundam, or I suppose it seems to be more of a cross between the Build Strike and the Build Burning, somewhere in between, and I really like the way this looks. Not the biggest fan of the shield and those tiny pathetic wings coming out of the back, but otherwise it's a cool little hero suit. Can't wait to see how this performs in the anime. And then, of course, the last bit of announcements were the ones that I think really proves that Bandai is in it for the money, because they have seen how well Kotobukiya's Frame Arm Girls line has been doing, and they have seen the popularity of Super Fumina, so now we've got the next edition, and that is the 1/144th scale Hyper Gyanko. And this is straight up Gyanko with the Gyan shields. That's it, or I believe it's the Vulcan attachments. I can't remember what that add-on kit was called. I know there's a lot of Gyanko fans out there. I personally am not one. I think she can go, I don't know, leave anime forever. But hey, it's definitely looking the part, and I know this is gonna sell to a lot of fans. So there's that. We got some more pictures on the China guy. That looks adorable. I'm gonna need like 4 of those and all the different colors they're gonna do. But the thing that caught my attention and stole my heart, and I alluded to this last week, is that they have teased a star-winning Fumina, and how cool is that? Nothing else to see here other than, hey, it's the next one coming up. Get excited. I'm hyped. I love the Super Fumina kit. I can't wait to see what it looks like with all the star-winning armor on it. Oh man, like I said last week, this is going to be Gundam of the year. But otherwise, that kind of wraps up all the things that piqued my interest at Shizuoka. If there's anything else that I didn't mention that you guys want to hear my opinion on, feel free to leave it in the comments section below, and I'll get to it next week. Alright, so this week I didn't really buy a whole lot, however, I did get a couple cool things. If you keep up with the channel, then you'll know I got the Funko Pop Overwatch of D.va and her mecha. This was actually sent to me by my pal Gabe. If you ever watch the Toy Talk I do monthly on the stream, Z Gabatur or Gabe, he was kind enough to hook me up with one of these because over here in Canada, where I pre-ordered mine at EB Games, they oversold their pre-orders and had to cancel mine. So thankfully, Gabe was able to hook me up with one and send it across the country, and I got one, and I gotta say, I love it. It doesn't do anything, but it looks super adorable and great, and it's gonna live on this desk for a very long time. Don't expect it to leave the show anytime soon. Now, of course, I did say this show was all about Gundam, so I did buy a Gundam this week, or one came in, and that is the 1/144th scale high-grade IBO Gundam Wall. Now, I was super pumped when this thing was announced. I love the color scheme, I love the Astaroth designs, and I love the small little hammer that the thing comes with. I'm super pumped to see how this looks like when you build it. That said, I have not actually built or touched a Gundam kit in at least a month or two now, and I keep buying these things and my stack is growing. I'm sure a lot of you out there know what that feeling is like to have a huge backlog and never touch your Gundams. I'm currently going through one of those periods, so hopefully I build this sooner rather than later, but no promises. Alright, let's wrap up the show with the feedback section, and the first one comes from Grant Harrison, and he asks, what's your favorite Zeon/Neo Zeon mobile suit? My favorite Zeon suit is probably the Camphor. That said, in recent years, I've come to really love the Sinanju, just because it's super regal, it's red, and it's just awesome all around. But the Camphor is definitely up there as my favorite Zeon suit. Yoka Comics asks, are you going to read the new Robotech comic by Titan, and should I pick up the High Metal R VF1J white version? I probably won't read the Robotech comics because I just choose not to support anything by Harmony Gold, so that's just that. As for the High Metal R, if you do not have a VF1 toy at the moment, I still recommend, if you can only get one, the 1/60th scale ones by Arcadia. However, if the scale of the High Metal R is more to your liking, then yeah, it's definitely a good toy. I think it's worth getting one with super packs. Don't get the naked plain, it's just a little bit bland for what it is. I think you should get the whole package just to experience the whole thing. Jonas Aguila asked, and actually, he's not the only one who asked this question, what happened to the 1/100 Full Mechanics Gundam Bale? Where's the review? Well, the Gundam Bale, my Gundam Bale, is currently in pieces in a box. I just need to assemble it and then add some final weathering touches to it. I haven't really seen that kit or touched it in, like I said, a couple months now. I'm just going through a period of time where I don't want to look at a Gundam right now. So, yeah, sorry about that, but hopefully it'll show up sooner or later. M.E. wants to know what got you into the toy collecting hobby. I suppose when I was a kid, the first toy that I really wanted to collect were Transformers, and my first one was a hand-me-down of Power Master Prime. And from there, it just snowballed into, well, if I have the truck, I need the car, but if I have the cars, they need someone to fight, and then I got the jets, and then it just kept going and going and going. And then, of course, I took a break in high school because you meet girls, you play sports, and you want to be cool. You don't want to be a man-child collecting toys. And then you get to post-secondary where it's okay to be whoever you want to be. And then you get back into the hobby. And what got me back in were the Transformers movies. Just seeing, the Michael Bay posters of Optimus Prime and stuff, they just sparked that thing back, and I wanted to get back into it. So yeah, the movies may not be good, but I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who had their collecting passion reignited because of them. Bailey Z. Kerr wants to know, what do you think of the 18-inch Jaegers? From what I can work out, they're actually roughly 1/144th scale. Now, I assume you're talking about the ones by NECA, because I believe those are the only guys who made those. I think they're fine for display pieces and for how much they cost. I mean, they're super acceptable. They're not exactly the type of toy that I would be after. That said, if size and display presence and just something to keep on the shelf and you don't really want to touch is what you're after, then go for it. I mean, I don't see anything that's wrong with that in terms of just a display standpoint. They're kind of like the 1/1/4 or the 1/48 scale Gundam kits. They don't really do much, but if you want something big and imposing, That's what they're there for. Alright, and the last question comes from USS Zilla, and it's a three-parter. First question is, have you seen the Evangelion 2 skin for D.va in Heroes of the Storm? Yes, I bought D.va the hero, and I use that skin as we speak. The next question is, would you paint the Bale with more regal colors? I mean, sure. I guess I would swap out the blue with more of a purple and add more gold to it. I think that looks super regal. And the last question is, do you think Barbatos and the other IBO Gundams are a bit sentient? No. Alright, and that brings us to the end of another edition of TV3. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, if there's anything you want to ask me or talk about that was in this show, or even mention something that I didn't mention, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. If I don't answer it on the next video, I might just answer it in the comments itself. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.